YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We're gonna fly this F4U Corsair 1.7 meter by FMS. Beautiful, gorgeous plane. We're gonna start on the 50C pack. We'll probably end it up with a 100C pack. This one actually incidentally weighs about 12 grams less than the 50C. Don't know why.
Yeah.
So that being said, I wanna show you how to do something, guys. We've got this voltage alarm that we could be using that we're not. So let's pop the hatch and show the people what I'm talking about. On the Air 637T, you can see in here, we've got this wire coming back that plugs back into the receiver here where it says volt, okay? So I never take advantage of this, but I just want to show you how to set it up, and then we'll see if the thing even works. I am going to operate off of a timer as well. So click into the function list, go down to audio events, telemetry warnings, click volts, double click it, and then you can set it to whatever battery pack you're using, 6S. And I want to set this to 22.8, which is 3.6 volts per. And then turn the alarm to, I don't know if I want tone and vibrate or voice.
I wonder what it's going to say if you put it on voice.
I guess we'll find out, eh?
Okay, yeah, let's try it.
Okay, so throttle cut's on. Obviously, we're ready to rock and roll. And the reason I'm doing this right here is because this is what's going to happen today. This is not going to be one video, so you'll have to jump around to see them. But we're going to do second thoughts videos on all these planes. And second thoughts meaning we're gonna fly them for the second time, which is really exciting for me because I get to actually enjoy it. Look at the difference in plane here. This is a 1.2 meter. This is a 1.2 meter Spitfire compared to a 1.7 meter F4U Corsair. Look at the size difference, guys.
That's crazy.
When you're looking at the price and you're like, geez, that's a lot more expensive. Well, just to give you an idea of why it's more expensive, now let's look at the batteries that are powering them. This is the recommended pack, and this is the recommended pack. It's a lot different plane, okay? So when you get this, know two things. One, just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's gonna be easier, okay? That's a misconception about radio-controlled aircraft. Bigger is easier to fly. That's not always the case. Part of the reason that is because the density of the foam creates different situations. Now, if these were hollow and they were wood and fiber coverings or wooden monocoat, then I think you could get away with that truth. But in this case, the density of the foam, as they get bigger, they stay dense. And there's a lot more reinforcements that go into them. So the wing loading is what you want to look at. All right, we'll be flying next. All right, we're gonna taxi out, take off flaps, elevator, rudder, ailerons. This plane is huge. Look at this, it just goes right over the top of the gutter, no problem. On the taxiway. Beautiful day out here. It's December day. Okay, stop in the shade if you can. Oh, look at that gorgeous color pop.
Cool.
Okay, so here we go. She gets in the air just fine. 100% throttle. Got a little bit of trimming to do on the elevator. There we go. You could hear it get to even and then just beyond. Drop tanks are installed again. That thing is gorgeous, guys. See the LED? %, throttle here. Takeoff flaps deployed. Guys, don't be afraid to fly with flaps on this plane because you will need them. It is a big plane. It is heavy. That thing is so gorgeous. And one thing too you remember is when you fly a big plane, your surroundings catch up to you much quicker than you might remember with a 12 or with a 1.2 meter rather. So don't be afraid of making your maneuvers early from what you expected originally. This thing is flying a lot better than what it was on our maiden. Okay, using the rudder here to kick it down.
The shadow is cool.
I know, I love watching the shadow. And the beautiful colors. I mean, it is just Those tight turns like that aren't super scale, guys. I apologize. That was kind of a scale mistake. Okay, we're gonna go under the power lines here. Look how big it is.
Yeah.
Okay, staying in the throttle. 100% throttle there. Goodness gracious, that looks so good watching the shadow go over those trees. I'm obviously coordinating the turns to keep that nose pointed where I want it. One thing I can tell you guys, let's go out in the sun, 10 steps. One thing I can tell you about this plane is it's 100% throttle flyer. There's not a time when I want to fly this at less than 100% except for maybe on final. Here's 30. Look at it slow down. Let's watch a dirty gear pass. Oh, yes. Oh, still coming out. They're so slow. Okay, I closed them, guys. Is this the 100 seat pack? Okay, gear out. Let's practice. Oh, dang it. That was my warning, I think, for the flight pack. Okay. So it's giving me warnings. All right, well, let's try landing it then.
That's the 50.
Huh?
That's the 50C.
50C? Okay, full landing flaps coming out.
22.7 volts. Flight pack 22.7 volts.
As you can see, the landing gear are very robust. Let's get in the shade so the film works good.
Okay.
Okay, so that alarm was at 3 minutes 42.
Wow.
Okay. So I think what I want to do is I want to try to take off again and just listen to the warnings. I'm going to actually click one time. Whoops. Whoops. I'm going to hit back. Then I'll turn that up.
Oh, okay.
100.
So hopefully you guys can hear that really good. I'm a little bit reluctant to take off at this point. You want to watch out so I can go by there? Thank you. So I am going to taxi back, and then we'll just do one takeoff and hopefully one landing here. It does so nice on grass, guys.
Yeah.
I almost prefer the way it flies on grass. Let's taxi across the runway. That is a huge prop, by the way. 18.6? 1811. That's crazy.
Flight pack 22.6 volts.
22.6 volts, guys. It's not too happy with me right now. But just to show you the power of these smart packs.
Flight pack 22.7 volts.
22.7.
22.5 volts.
Okay, let's land it in the grass this time for you guys. Look at those gear coming down. That is gorgeous. Saving power. And I'll be honest, guys, I usually don't flare a plane like this.
Flight pack 22.2 volts.
But in order to get that thing slowed down so that it didn't shoot way past the runway, that's the way I decided to deal with it.
22.7 volts.
Well, the voltage alarm definitely helped.
And I like that it says like what you're at, so you
Yep.
you know. That's helpful. It's not just a warning.
It's not just like a momentary, like, what did I just hear?
Right. It's
Because
not
that's
like a
exactly what
generic-
happened to us at first.
Yep.
Now, maybe that's a little bit premature, but I got 1:41 left on here, and we were on the ground for at least, what, probably a minute too. So I have my timer set to 8 minutes on this. 8 minutes might be a little bit long. You know, maybe 6 minutes is better. All right, guys, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and, want to put the 100C in? We'll
Yeah,
see
you
how it
wanna
looks.
switch?
All right, well, we'll show you what it looks like on the voltage alarm real quick, actually. So we haven't gone through the process of switching the batteries on video, have we?
I can't remember if we
So
did.
we'll do that
We
right
may or not.
now. Because to be honest with you, a lot of times that's not going to be a deal breaker, but you're here for a reason. You want to see how this plane performs. And I can say this plane flies good. It's just slow. And if there was one thing I could pick on this plane, that would be it. But it also stands out to me. It's a factor for me. okay? It is beautiful. It is probably one of the prettiest planes we have. And it is very capable. If you're landing and taking off from grass, this plane will do it.
Yeah.
And it will do it well.
Yep.
It doesn't just do it like it'll get off the ground. No, it's like better on grass.
Sometimes you do it on grass and it's like, you're not sure.
It's like,
gonna
ow, that
make
hurt.
it. Yeah.
What? Oh, sorry. Oh, 62%, look at that.
Wait. I think we can see it.
62.
Cool.
So under load, we're drawing this thing down. And that's a 50C pack. So we're gonna see how it responds with a 100C pack. Watch this. I trust these things. Actually, I shouldn't do that because I have my wireless lapel mic. Trade me, camera crew. Thank you. If you guys weren't already aware, when we do our videos, we have a historical, we basically do our unbox, build, radio setup, and then we will release those. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to throw out a second thoughts video for most planes that are worth anything. We do review some planes that are really like they're just not worth a second shot because you see everything you're gonna see. And that doesn't mean they're like garbage planes and we don't like them. It's just some of the smaller planes we do, you get the idea from the first 2 flights.
15.1 volts.
It said 15.1 volts, did you hear it?
Yes.
You know why I did that?
Why?
Because when the voltage alarm is building up the voltage, there is a bit of latency and it takes a
Oh.
second to build up to that level, okay? So we're gonna test surfaces real quick. Rudder left, right, ailerons left, right, elevator up, down, flaps, good. All right, so at this point, we'll look at our timer real quick. Our timer's set to 8 minutes. And we'll go back to the telemetry. Volts. Double click, and there's your 22.8. I think I want to get a warning at, let's do a 22.8. I was thinking I could go less, but then I'm like, if we do that, we're gonna get in trouble because the 22.8 gives us time to respond.
Yeah.
It's like the early warning. Okay, so that being said, camera crew will come back and take off here. Throttle cuts off, we got the takeoff flaps deployed. I don't know, this one just kind of begs to be taken off in the grass. I feel like I can control it so much better. It's actually pretty easy to taxi compared to, for instance, the P51 1.5. And look at that sharp turn. Okay, let's take off this way. We'll do the driveway. Out of the flaps. Hear that noise?
Yeah.
We'll do a pass. Take off flaps. %30 power here. Gorgeous. You hear that?
Yeah.
I think that's a flap servo maybe buzzing on me.
Oh.
So one of the reasons this plane is a challenge to fly, and when I say a challenge to fly, it flies well, but it is not an easy plane to fly because you have to fly gravity. You have to fly the plane. It doesn't just fly itself. Even though the AS3X is active and working, you have to think about, okay, do I have enough inertia to make this maneuver? You know, you can't just like willy-nilly roll it on its side and hope it makes it through. You know, it's not gonna do it necessarily. Because look at the speed. I'm going flat and level. And if I were to roll right now, I would not complete the roll. I'd have to carry it along. So we'll go way up here. Again, we're at 100% throttle right now. I've been at 100% throttle most of this flight. Okay, so we're a couple mistakes high. We have enough time to potentially recover from an accident. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go downhill, chop the throttle, get back into the throttle, and then execute the barrel roll. Okay? We didn't lose any altitude, but I did all the controls to do that. Again, you big plane folks are probably used to that anyway, because guys that fly big planes know you have to fly all the surfaces. And when I say that, I mean, I'm always coordinating multiple control surfaces when I do maneuvers with this plane. Now, a loop is pretty easy because you get to the top.
Flight pack 22.7 volts. Flight pack 22.7 volts.
Okay, so did you notice it sagged at the top of that because I was pulling so hard? You also notice what I was saying at the top of that arc was, doing a loop is easy because you get to the top of the loop and the inertia wants to carry you through. Well, it was almost out, so I was in a flat upside down stall basically. Using the rudder and down elevator to make this turn. Love it, so gorgeous. You know, there could be something.
22.7 volts.
Gear coming down. That is so pretty.
Flight pack 22.7 volts. Flight pack 22.7 volts.
Okay, 75%.
22.7 volts. Flight pack 22.7.
That's annoying. Well, we turned it up too.
Yes.
Okay, gear coming down, takeoff flaps deployed.
22.7 volts.
Full landing flaps.
22.7 volts.
Gear down.
Yep.
Flight pack 22.
Go around.
Volts. Flight pack 22.5 volts. Flight pack 22.7 volts. Flight pack 22.6 volts.
Landing flaps of gear. 30% throttle. Coming in for a steep descent. That was not from the plane, by the way.
It's a small
That's from one of
child's toy.
our kids. They have a scooter and the handle came off and I've just been too lazy to pick it up. All right, we're gonna go check it.
Okay.
Okay guys, so flaps, flaps, flaps. I'm gonna turn this volume down right now, hit the back button, scroll it down to whatever you want, which 50 is less obnoxious. The one thing about that alarm that's annoying is that it keeps going. Okay, so once you start hitting it, I mean, you do kind of want that reminder to like land, but it's really kind of annoying. It's almost like, just shut up, okay, I get it.
I felt like the first time there was more of a delay between like reminders.
That's because I wasn't pushing it.
Oh.
If you ride it at 100, see, I started a loop, then it kicked in, which means I sagged it below, and then it didn't recover very quick because I got right back into the throttle. Okay, so let's watch the gear. I noticed that one of my gear felt sloppy. Yep, it is. Look. See this?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get some glue in there. It's not broken from the mount. It's just broken a little bit right there. So, flaps. There's nothing rattling there. Okay? Nothing rattling there. Nothing rattling there. I'm loading the circuit. I'm pushing on it. You know, like when you put wind on these things, it's gonna make them move. So let's retract the gear. Everything's good there. You hear that? Oh, that's the flap servo. That's the flap servo. Listen to it when it closes. See? It's just the flap servo. It just got into a certain spot where it was wanting to sit there and make that noise. Okay guys, so final thoughts. After the initial few flights with this FMS 1.7 meter F4U Corsair, beautiful plane, not fast enough, but still really cool. I mean, it's an experience to fly. That's my takeaway on this plane. It's gorgeous. Would I buy this plane if I was in the market for an F4U Corsair? No, not this one. I'd buy the 1.2. I like the 1.2 for my environment. It's got nothing to do with the plane. It's got everything to do with my environment. This plane is maybe just a touch bigger than this environment suits itself. Now in our backyard, show them the backyard there, camera crew. We have hundreds and hundreds of feet on that second hill, at the second crest of the hill. And at some point we'll have a landing strip out there. I mean, it would take me 10 minutes to drive my zero turn back there and cut a landing strip right now. And we could fly this thing from that landing strip. So in that environment, this plane would absolutely be the only choice because the 1.2 would never do well off of grass like that. You can take off from it, but it's kind of like, it just barely makes it. This plane, this is designed for grass. Now that being said, the landing gear getting broken, that's disappointing, but it's still probably, if you get right down to it, it's probably my fault because I took some pretty nasty landings with it. And that might have actually been there when we started today. I just didn't realize it at the time. So that being said, gorgeous plane. Just about everything about it is gorgeous. The only thing I don't like is I would like it to be about 50% faster. Now, how do you do that? By the way, you get an even higher CPAC and you put a higher pitch prop on this. Now, where do you get a pitch? Where do you get a prop that's this beautiful, that's this big? I know that they exist. I just don't know where to get them myself. So if you know, let me know. Now, the other thing you can do is if you want this thing to fly faster, take this thing apart, take two blades off that are opposing one another, put it back together, and she will fly faster. She'll draw less load and she'll fly faster. She'll be more zippy, but it's gonna be half as beautiful as far as I'm concerned. When the prop is spinning, you'll still see the beautiful design of the yellow and the white little highlight in the middle, but you won't necessarily, when you stop, you'll see it. And to me, that's just almost a deal breaker. And that's one of the biggest bummers about some of these gorgeous, huge planes. So second thoughts on the F4U Corsair 1.7 by FMS. And the NX6 been proving time and time again to be a really good choice. And it's basically the bottom of the line card. So if you want to spend even more money, get more features, there's going to be more features that'll be handy to you. I know some of you have asked that question very directly. Well, why do I get an NX8 or an NX10? Because you want more channels for more controls. We are specifically not doing that because we're trying to market to an audience that's going to want to be getting into this, not that's been in it for 25 years necessarily, because the guys that have been in it 25 years, they understand the difference between a 6 and an 8 and a 10. So, but for those of you who are going to be buying, doing bind and flies, things like that, this is going to be perfect. So without further ado, come back for more, guys. All right, guys, so as part of this in closing, I forgot to mention that we were going to fix this. And so me and the camera crew were in here, and I think the reason it cracked is I think maybe there was just a little bit of glue missing here, because this side, this is the only little crack we have. This just wasn't glued very well. Might have been a factory issue. I don't know. I'm not saying it wasn't my issue because I'm not the best lander in the world, but I just wanted to show you what I found. So if you get this F4U Corsair, it's a beautiful plane and you do not want to have to crash it over something stupid like that. So definitely check that out. So all I did was I just used just like regular Chinese glue, which is a contact cement. And I just got it into that crack there. And then I just walked it all the way back. And that's all the more I'm gonna do, except you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to take off the excess glue because you get it tacked up on your Q-tip and you can get it all off of there. You may lose a little teeny bit of paint, but that's what I'm trying to avoid. You see what I'm doing? I'm just rotating it. It's like when you were a kid and you were playing with rubber cement and you'd roll it up into the rubber cement boogers. That's exactly what you're doing here. Okay? And you can see how tacky that is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take this in the plane stand, in this case, and I'm gonna rotate the whole plane so that it runs into the countertop here. And I'm gonna apply some downward pressure. You see what I'm doing? That's gonna tighten this joint, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'll probably have to get a little something that's kind of heavy and just set it in here. Like maybe we'll put a 7,000 milliamp battery in there. Oh. Knew there's a reason to buy that. Just something to push the wingtip down, and that's gonna close this joint.
Keep some pressure on it while it dries.
So anyway, that's all I'm gonna do, and that'll be it. And then this little spot where the glue got, see, it's just gonna come off of there, just with a little bit of effort. So anyway, that's all you got. I just wanted to show you we try to show these things not to beat up on the manufacturers, because I can tell you this from experience, we've flown tons of different types of planes. Some of the best planes are the ones that I break. Some of the worst planes are also the ones that I break. It's just kind of part of it. So if you're expecting to, get a beautiful plane like this and just never have a problem, you're probably in the wrong hobby, because it's literally gonna happen for sure. I'm gonna guarantee it to you.
Yeah.
So that being said, and not only that, just think of the complexity of these models. There are so many things that can go wrong. And so that's why you gotta be a little bit careful and then build skills slowly. You don't start with a plane like this, but it is gorgeous. And I would recommend buying it if you have the right environment to fly. If you're flying from a grass strip, this thing is awesome. All right, that's all you get. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to check the link in the description below. If you wanna buy something, you help support our channel if you buy from the links. You also help support our channels if you subscribe, like the videos, and then of course come back and watch them. That's the biggest things you can do. You can make comments if you want. I try to reply to comments. If you have questions, ask them. I'll do my best. Sometimes people ask me to measure stuff. That's really hard on me. I'll do it if I have time, but it is really hard because when you get 30 questions to measure things in a week, that's like, you know, that's an hour of time I have to spend doing that. So it's not just one question. So if you have a question and you can answer it yourself on that, no big deal, but I'll try to help you out if I can. This plane's awesome. Thanks for watching. Come back for more. I forgot one last detail. If you get glue that you can't get off by just rolling it to tack it off, I use Instaset and it will actually take that glue off, but just don't get it down in the joint, okay? So watch this. That Instaset will break down the glue and it'll just pull it right off of there, okay? So sometimes that glue is not necessarily a problem. Like if you have a little bit seeping, but you see how it's just coming right off of there? It breaks down the glue. You'll get a little bit of that blue. See the blue? But that might be the better option for your application depending on where the damage was. Okay, and this is just kicker. You know, I believe any of that CA accelerant's gonna work. Okay, you see how I'm just getting it wet on the surface but not trying to get it down into the crack necessarily. Now look at it, it just wipes off. You see it moving around? Can you give them a close up over my right shoulder? Sorry, I know the lighting's probably not great. But you see it? It just kind of wipes off. Especially on this plastic. See it? It's just coming off of there. Which is really nice, guys, because if you have a plane and you want to keep it gorgeous, you're like me. And most people that have scale planes don't want a big crack showing. And just a little bit more of that Instaset will clean this up. And then I can go so low tech as to just, I've missed both times I threw those Q-tips there, camera crew.
Thanks.
You're welcome. This is why most people aren't allowed to work in their wife's kitchens. Okay. See, just takes it right off of there. I think that was actually there before. Okay, so then once it's dry, now keep in mind that will react with your fresh paint. So if you have fresh paint, don't necessarily do that, okay? Nice and smooth. People always ask me to show repairs, and I've showed so many repairs over the years that it's really hard for me to even remember. This is not even a matching color, okay? Look at this. Oh, Brian, that looks horrible. Oh my goodness, Brian, that's horrible. I've literally touched up planes and filmed them, and you guys would have never known any better. And then I'm just gonna take a black marker and I'm just gonna mix it to the right color consistency. Now, why do I do this instead of just going down and getting some paint?
Because there's still 4,000 different shades of blue paint.
Navy blue would be one of the easiest ones to match in this case, okay? And if you make a mistake, get a little kicker on your rag, wipe it off, and start again. Now, step back a couple feet. You tell me when this thing's going by at like 40 miles an hour at max speed, you're gonna be like, oh man, look at that dot on the left wing. Oh man. That's the right wing.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then if you make a mistake, just to show you how easy this is. Okay, got a little kicker there. This is a Pringles lid. That's how I keep from spilling this. I've spilled my Instaset every single time I filled it in the history of my time on this planet. Look at this. See, comes right off. If you don't like the way your color matched, or if you want to try to take some of it off, see how easy that worked? Now just use the dry spot, dry it off, and you can go back to it, okay? So, again, a little bit of black this time, a little bit of black. Go back to your blue. But Brian, that doesn't match good. Who is that guy anyway?
I don't know.
He's
kind
in a lot of my,
obnoxious.
he's kind of featured in a lot of my
He is.
videos. He's like my alter ego. Okay. So there you have it. Super easy. Gets the job done. And then I immediately go back and undo it. So that's what you get for today. More coming soon. Keep watching.